Lost for words with all to say. Lord, you take my breath away. And still my soul cries out, you are holy. And as I look upon your name, circumstances fade away. And now your glory steals my heart. You are holy. You are holy. You are holy, Lord. You are holy. You are holy, Lord. Evermore my heart will say, above all, I live for your glory. Even if my world falls, I will say, above all, I live for your glory. Words with all to say, Lord, you take my breath away. Still my soul cries out, you are holy. And as I look upon your name, circumstances fade away. And now your glory steals my heart. You are holy. You are holy. You are holy, Lord. Evermore my heart will say, above all, I live for your glory. Even if my world falls, I will say, above all, live for your glory. You are holy. You are holy, Lord. You are holy. You are holy, Lord. Evermore my heart will say, above all, I live for your glory. Even if my world falls, I will say, above all, I live for your glory. Yeah. Even if my heart will say, above all, I live for your glory. Even if my world falls, I will say, above all, I live for your glory. Above all, I live for your glory. Above all, I live for your glory. For your glory, yeah. Well, amen. We are so glad you're here this morning to worship with us on one of the hottest days of the year. And hope that you guys grabbed ice cream on your way in. And we just want to celebrate National Ice Cream Day today. That song is one of my favorite songs because I love the words. And I love thinking about that even when my world's falling apart, even when circumstances aren't what I want them to be, that my heart is going to say that I live for you and I praise you and that God doesn't change even in the midst of everything that's going crazy in my life. And that's the reason why I sing, and that's why I lead worship, and why I want to invite you into God's presence this morning so that we can give him praise and we can worship him, because no matter what's going on around us, God is the same, and he's faithful, and he loves us no matter what. So You called out into darkness. You reached out to save us. You conquered the grave. You crossed the divide. Lost in our sin, you made us alive. How can we ever hold it inside? We can't hold back. We're gonna lift you higher, higher. Hearts burning bright like a fire, fire. Voices unite, we get louder, louder. We're never gonna stop singing. Ooh, never gonna stop singing. Set free, no longer in chains. You rescued me and called me by name. You conquered the grave, you crossed the divide. Lost in our sin, you made us alive. How can we ever hold it inside? We can't hold back. We're gonna lift you higher, higher. Hearts burning bright like a fire, fire. Voices unite, we get louder, louder. We're never gonna stop singing. Ooh, never gonna stop. Higher, higher. Hearts burning bright like fire, fire. Voices unite, we get louder, louder. We're never gonna stop singing. Ooh, never gonna stop singing. Every tribe, every tongue, every heart will sing. Every knee we will bow to the risen King. Lift him up, never gonna stop singing. Ooh, never gonna stop. Every tribe, every tongue, every heart will sing. Every knee we will bow to the risen King. Lift him up, never gonna stop singing. Ooh, never gonna stop. Higher, higher. Hearts burning bright like a fire, fire. Voices unite, make it louder, louder. We're never gonna stop singing. Ooh, never gonna stop. Higher, higher. Hearts burning bright like a fire, fire. Voices unite, make it louder, louder. We're never gonna stop singing. Ooh, never gonna stop singing. Oh. And just the voices now. And higher, higher. Hearts burning bright like a fire, fire. Voices unite, make it louder, louder. We're never gonna stop singing. Ooh, never gonna stop singing. You can have a seat.
Summer camping, going to summer camp. Summer camping, going to summer camp.
Colin,
Yeah, Scott?
are you tired?
Not at all.
Yeah, me neither. This is our first night at Camp Winnipesaukee.
I know, who could sleep, right? Plus, I had like 37 pixie sticks after dinner.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, you want to play 20 questions?
Yes. Okay, I got one. You guess first.
Okay. Is it bigger than a bread box?
Yes.
Is it, like, totally overrated?
Yes.
Is it Canada?
Yes. Good guess. Good guess. Yeah.
Hey. You want to sing that song that we heard on the car radio on the ride up here?
You mean Can't Stop the Feeling by Justin Timberlake from the hit movie Trolls?
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
but
remember,
we
gotta keep it down.
We gotta keep it down.
Mr. Carmichael's back there.
Yes. It's after lights out.
I got that sunshine
Sunshine
in my pocket. Got that good soul in my feet. Got that hot blood in my body when it drops. Woo! I can't take my eyes off of it, moving so phenomenally.
Room I like the way we rock it, so don't stop.
Oh,
Under
under the lights when everything goes.
Where to hide,
Cause
we're
I'm
getting
pulling
you
you
close. When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine, just imagine, just imagine. Nothing I can see but you when we dance, dance, dance. Feeling good, good, creeping up on you. Dance, dance, dance. Come on. Nothing I can see but... Ah!
What is going on in here? I'm hearing a volume level like a 9, and I need it to be like a 0.
Sorry, Mr. Carmichael.
Mr. Carmichael. We just couldn't sleep because we were so excited. It was our first night at camp.
I understand, boys. It is very exciting because camp is going to be awesome with fun skits and super games and cool lessons for the whole family. Honestly, everyone should go. But lights out means voices out. And if you don't get your voices out, I'm afraid you're going to lose your Snack Shack privileges. And a little birdie told me tomorrow's Snack Shack is going to be a lettuce bar.
You mean a salad bar?
Oh, no, a lettuce bar with all the kinds of lettuce. Romaine, iceberg, green leaf, maybe if you're good, some cabbage.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sorry, Mr. Carmichael.
Mr. Carmichael.
Yeah, we'll be
We'll go to
good.
sleep now.
All right, boys, I'll be listening.
And under the night,
When everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting close. When we move where you already know. So just imagine, just imagine, just imagine.
Can't stop the feeling!
So just dance, dance,
Can't
dance.
stop the feeling!
So just dance, dance.
What is going on in here? I thought I said quiet, and I mean quiet. It sounds like bruh, 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 and what I need is Do you see the difference?
Yes,
Yes,
Mr.
yes.
Carmichael.
Do
Mr.
you
Carmichael.
hear the difference?
Yes,
Yes,
Mr.
Mr.
Carmichael.
All right, you boys, I love you boys, but you frustrate me. Frustrated as someone who spent a whole lot of money on Cleveland Cavaliers gear and now has to cheer for the LA Lakers.
I like Kevin Durant.
Oh, now you shut your mouth and don't get started. Boys, one more outburst and you'll have to come with me to go see the head counselor, Mrs. Jill. And we go see Mrs. Jill, that means Poison Ivy Patrol, where you have to pick up every piece of poison ivy, 5-mile radius around camp.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah, we-
Mr.
we don't want that.
Carmichael.
Okay.
We'll go to
We'll go to sleep now.
All right, go
All
to
right.
sleep.
Hey, Colin.
Mr. Carmichael seemed a little upset, right?
Yeah, I thought Canadians were like calm people.
Yeah, like a warm, peaceful people.
Yeah, I don't know. Colin, best friends forever.
Best friends forever.
Yeah.
Can't stop the feeling!
So let's dance, dance,
Can't
dance!
stop the feeling!
So let's dance, dance, dance!
you boys are coming with me to go see Mrs. Jill. Let's go.
Carmichael. Hey, Mr. Carmichael,
Yes, Scott.
do you think Miss Jill has Fortnite on the PC in her office?
Not a chance.
Well, that's just a preview of some of the fun we're going to have this Thursday night at our first Best Family Night. So it's this Thursday from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. It's geared towards families with elementary-aged kids. We will also have childcare for younger siblings, so don't let that stop you from coming. It's actually not even just for the families in our church with young kids. If you are a grandparent or a neighbor or an aunt and uncle who have elementary age kids that you are influencing, we would encourage you to bring them as well. It's going to be a really awesome time. We kind of have two major goals for this event, and the first one is just to create a shared family experience. So it's like going to family camp together where it's geared towards both the kids and the adults. So it's not just you grown-ups watching your kids have fun or your kids rolling their eyes while you have fun. It's the whole family together, so that's going to be really awesome. The other cool aspect of it is this is one of the best ways you can invite your friends to church. We understand that it can be scary for someone who has no church experience to go and drop their children off with total strangers and just trust that everything will be fine. So this is a great way for the parents and kids to come together and to get to know us and what we're about and to hear a message that's woven throughout all the fun that they're having. So just some details you need to make sure you're aware of. It starts at 6:30, but doors open at 6:15 if you want to show up early so you're ready to go when it gets started. We'll have fun games, a worship dance party, awesome skits, as you just saw, as well as some teaching, and it's going to be great. If you would like to pre-register, I'll have forms for that in the lobby, and that'll help things go faster when you come on Thursday night. So we hope we'll see you then. Do have two more coming up, so another one in 2 weeks and another one 2 weeks after that. So if you miss this one, there's still more opportunities to come. And each one will be its own unique experience, so it'll all be really fun. And now we're going to go ahead and dismiss the kids. All of my preschoolers and elementary kids, you get to exit that way. So elementary kids, you'll line up in the lobby instead of the hallway back behind the auditorium, and our preschoolers on the rope back there.
All right, as they go, let's stand up, and we're going to sing another song together.
Nothing can separate, even if I run away. Your love never fails. I know I still make mistakes, but you have mercy for me every day. Your love never fails. You stay the same through the ages. Your love never changes. There may be pain in the night, joy comes in the morning. And when the oceans rage, I don't have to be afraid, because I know that you love me. Your love never fails. Never fails. The wind is strong and the water's deep. I'm not alone here in these open seas. Your love never fails. The chasm is far too wide. Never thought I'd reach the other side. Your love never fails. You stay the same through the ages. Your love never changes. There may be pain in the night, joy comes in the morning. And when the oceans rage, I don't have to be afraid, because I know that you love me. Oh, you love me. Oh, your love never fails.
No, never fails.
You make all things work together for my good. You make all things work together for my good. You make all things work together for my good. You make all things work together for my good. You make all things work together for my good. You make all things work together for my good. You stay the same through the ages. Your love never changes. There may be pain in the night, joy comes in the morning. And when the oceans rage, I don't have to be afraid, because I know that you love me. Yeah. Oh, you love me. I know that you love me.
You can be seated.
All right, welcome to church, everyone. It is great to have you here with us, and it's good to be back gathering together on a Sunday morning. I am doing the announcements, and I must ask you one question. That's the only reason I have this thing. We'll be doing this for a month, because every Best Family Night has one of those skits, and so I'm going to have to live with this Monday to Friday so that we can do these skits on Thursday night. You got this little program as you came in, and inside there's an announcement that I just wanted to make sure everybody sees on the second half. The first is the Best Family Nights that are coming up starting this week that Jill already talked about. And the next thing there is our all-church Cool Pool Party. Our church, we'd like to think of it, the different spaces that we gather, is kind of like a house. It's easy to understand. And this is kind of like, these kind of spaces are kind of like the foyer, or that's what we say on the East Coast, the entranceway, or whatever, when you first come, your stairs out. It's kind of a space you can come to, and people who are guests are kind of like, they kind of stop there, right? And then people who are kind of your friends, you welcome into the living room, and then people who are kind of like family always end up in your kitchen, right? Like when you have people over, it happens to everyone, you end up talking in the kitchen with people who are very, very close to you. But we, as a church, seem to do a really good job at like our entranceway and our kitchen. Like if once you're connected and you're friends with people, it's really, you experience what it is to be a part of the Grove. But making that transition and just learning to have friends is difficult, especially when your experience of church is you show up, you sit in rows, face the same way, sing songs, listen to a sermon, and then leave, right? Or maybe grab ice cream on the way. So we are trying to develop these events and these spaces, and we need to rent space because we don't have a church building, and we thought, what's a cool space to rent? Oh, one with a pool and a water slide. So we want to invite everyone to this thing. It's a great way for you to get to know other people. to get to know the people that you hear singing behind you. Maybe they're awesome singers and you want to get to know them. Maybe they're terrible and you want to get to know them for a different reason. But just to be able to gather together, make some friends, it's a great space for your kids, and it's all fenced in so your kids can run wild and you can talk with other adults. So Sunday night, the last Sunday in July 29th, that's happening. All right, we're going to do the offering now as well. So if the ushers want to come forward. If you're here for the very first time, there's this really cool Go Pass inside, and you can fill that in if you want.
I am 275 pounds, and that is successful for me. It didn't used to be successful. 315 pounds was my successful weight when I was playing football at Oregon State, and now that I'm not doing that and I'm in normal life weight for me is successful at 275 pounds. In order to get there, I've been doing a whole fitness journey, lots of different stuff. I've cleaned up my eating. I've done routine exercise, been through a couple of different fitness programs. If you follow me on social media, I post about that frequently. You guys are or the people who watch me at least, are my accountability to maintaining that. But success can vary for many different people on many different levels in regards to what they're trying to accomplish. Now, the BMI would say that me, 6'3", 275 pounds, is morbidly obese. And on that scale, I am not successful in normal life at 275 pounds. But in regards to playing basketball on Saturday morning and being able to run and get through exercises, I am successful. And we actually play basketball on Saturday mornings frequently. I've actually played in a couple different groups. And even within that, there's people who play that have difference of opinion on what success is playing Saturday morning basketball. Some success is getting out of bed at 6 a.m., making it to the gym, and playing with all of their friends. And for others, there's only one success that morning, and that is if you are going to win. And winning is the only thing. And I bet you guys know these people and have seen these people. If you work out at a gym or if you've played Saturday morning basketball, you know that there are people that take what they do very seriously, and there's only one outcome, and they're going to bulldoze anybody who's in their way to accomplish that. And there's different varying successes, but everybody has an opinion on what success looks like. And so I was asking myself the question, what makes a person successful? Like, what does the world categorize or define success as? And so like any good millennial, I Googled it. So I want to read what Google told me about what success means. There were a couple different places that I looked. There was an article, a blog post written on Forbes. There was one from The Muse. There was just somebody on Medium who had a couple random thoughts on what he thought success looked like. But I want to read you guys and see if you guys can relate to some of these standards. You're successful if you call the shots. That makes sense. If you become to the level of a boss or oversee people, you are successful. If you help others become successful, when you stand up for yourself and have a backbone, that's when you've become successful. If you're happy, that's when you're successful. If you can pay your bills, that's a good one. If you have goals that you're working towards. With my working out, I've set goals that I have. I actually have a goal that I want to have a six-pack by the end of 2018. I'm also socially accountable to that. I've been posting pictures, so if you guys want to see how I'm doing on that journey, that might be worth checking out. It's not there yet, so it might not be yet worth checking out. You're told you're an inspiration. If you inspire people, that's when you become successful. You have critics or haters. You become successful when people start to hate you or criticize the things that you're doing. You are tech savvy. I like that one. Some of you guys, if you've made it to the level of being savvy with your phones or computers, you have become successful in this day and age. People come to you for advice. You start working with big names. Big companies find you and ask you to promote them. You're not in debt. You show others respect. When you look good and are hygienic, you showered that day. I can tell you, you laugh, but for those of you in the room who work from home, this is a big one. You are successful when you've made it into the shower that day, gotten out of your pajamas, and you don't go into your home office looking unkempt. When you make enough in order to give back to people, you become successful. And when you've had a long-term relationship and you become married and have kids and start leaving a legacy. All of those things are how Google defined success in our world. And for you guys at work and at home and in school and with your friends and your family and kids, you probably have goals and ideas on what you see as success and things you've set up for yourself so you guys know whether or not you're hitting the mark. And where you've come up with those things, I don't know. But I realized for me, it's something that I hadn't really thought of, but there were certain things that I was measuring myself on whether or not I was being successful. And so today, we're going to look at Psalms 37, and it'll be up here on the screen, or if you have your phone, we have an app, the Bible app, and we have a spot in there where you can find Psalms 37. But we're going to look at how God defines success. Because as we go through life, we have our standards of success, and we have things that we see as what we want to accomplish or what we want to do. But that can get very jumbled, and depending on the year or depending on the time that we live in, those guidelines and measuring sticks for what is actually successful change. And so what's great about Psalm 37 is that it's going to kind of show us what God's standards are, and they are not changing. They kind of stay the same all throughout time, and it gives us a sense of freedom. And so there, as we go through this, there's going to be kind of 4 sections that I've divided Psalm 37 into. And these 4 sections kind of answer 4 different questions, or address 4 different questions that we kind of ask when we are talking about whether or not we're successful. So let's dive into Psalm 37. Hopefully you guys have that open in front of you, or like I said, it'll be on the screen if not. We're going to start looking at verses 1 through 9. And before we dive into this particular psalm, we're in a series right now where we're going through the book of Psalms, and our series is titled Honest to God. And we're looking at Psalms because Psalms in the Bible that is how God answers questions for us. And so today it's a little bit different. Everything that we read in here today is going to be declarative. It's not going to be like spoken from the heart. It's going to be, these are truths that David, who's a king, is saying. And so what's great about this psalm also is that King David is speaking it, and King David has everything that you could possibly need. King David is like the definition of successful. He has all of the money, he has all of the wives, he has all of the land, the kingdom, everything. And he's speaking these truths about what success is, how God defines success. So I want to look at verse 1 through 9 as we're going through life trying to determine what success is. This is how God starts talking about success. Do not fret because of those who are evil. Now, throughout this, he's going to talk about, he's going to refer to things that are evil and things that are wicked. Sometimes, like this, it says, you who are evil, kind of talking about a specific person. But I want to look at this psalm more from like a macro level in talking about wickedness and evil in regards to like worldly systems. Not necessarily, there's definitely times where there's a specific person or specific things that are doing evil in this world. But as we read this today, I want to think about it more in regards to a set of standards, in this case success, a set of standards that are upon us, some that are wicked and some that are from God. So when he's addressing people who might be wicked, think of kind of worldly systems, think about some of those successes that I listed off. So this is verse 1. Do not fret because of those who are evil, or be envious of those who do wrong. For like the grass, they will soon wither. Like green plants, they will soon die away. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pastures. Take delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in him, and he will do this. He will make your righteous reward shine like the dawn, your vindication like the noonday. Be still before the Lord. Wait patiently for him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. Refrain from anger. Turn from wrath. Do not fret. It leads only to evil. For those who are evil will be destroyed, but those who hope in the Lord will inherit the land. I wanted to address this first kind of question. Success asks us, where do we stand? Or maybe that's why we look to see if we're successful or not. So we want to know, where do we stand? How do we stand against our coworkers, our friends, our family? Where do we line up? And so we ask ourselves all of these questions, and we look and read those articles on Google and find out, am I successful or not? Because we want to know, where do we stack up in this order of success in the world? And the very first statement, if you can go back to the first slide, verse 1, the very first statement, do not fret. Do not worry yourself with where you stand or stack up or measure up. I love that. There's so many, the list of articles that I could choose from to see on Google what is successful and what is not successful was countless and was endless. Everybody's asking this question, and God's standard, the first thing he says is, do not fret. And so when we're asking ourselves the question, where do I stand? God responds to us, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. My standards of success are that I will provide for you. He says, commit your way to the Lord, trust in him, and he will do this. He will make your righteous reward shine like the dawn, the vindication like the noonday sun. Be still before the Lord. What God responds to us is that it doesn't matter what we have or what we don't have. It doesn't matter our measuring sticks that we put on ourselves. You are successful because of God, and you don't need to fret. I want to keep going into the second question that we kind of need to address when we're thinking about success. This comes verse 21 and then verse 25 and 27 on the screen. The wicked borrow and do not repay, but the righteous give generously. I was young, and now I'm old, yet I have never seen the righteous forsaken or their children begging bread. They are always generous and lend freely. Their children will be a blessing. I think the second question when we're talking about success is, do I have enough? Like, can I be generous to give? Because we would all agree that successful people have enough to give. But we see here in two verses that kind of seem unrelated, but they're together. Verse 21, the wicked borrow and do not repay. The ways of the world borrow. We get to the top by borrowing and by having and by hoarding. But the righteous give generously. You notice that there's no standard for when you give. There's no point for when you give. There's no like pinnacle that you reach or moment that you have. There's no amount of stuff that you have and then you're able to start giving. But success for us and the standard that God gives is that you can give all the time. Like, as Christians, we are generous people. As followers of Jesus, we are generous people. When the Spirit resides inside us, what we do and how we're seen by people is that we give. Verses 25 and 26 address it in a different way. I was young and now I'm old. So David, as he's talking about this and proclaiming this, he's seen a lot of life. He's lived a lot of life. And so he kind of knows how this world works. Obviously, he himself is successful. I was young and now I'm old, yet I have never seen the righteous forsaken or their children begging bread. So not only do we have a generous nature and all the time are we giving, we also are never in need when we're constantly giving. We posture ourselves towards society of giving, and yet we don't ever need, and we're not in need when we posture ourselves that way. He continues, they're always generous and lend freely. Their children will be a blessing. So 25 and 26 also state there's no age requirement for when you start giving. Like when you start having that generous posture towards society, towards the people around us. So when people are looking at us, from the youngest person in the room to the oldest person in the room, generosity is what defines success for us. And as we give in that way, we don't have to worry about being in need. So when we're asking the question to figure out if we're successful or not, do I have enough? Not only is the answer yes, but you have enough to give and keep giving. I want to keep going. There are 4 questions that I want to address total. This is number 3. And we're going to read verses 30 through 33. They'll also be up on the screen. The mouths of the righteous utter wisdom, and their tongues speak what is just. The law of their God is their hearts. Their feet do not slip. The wicked lie in wait for the righteous, intent on putting them to death. But the Lord will not leave them in the power of the wicked, or let them be condemned when brought to trial. This verse is a little bit, or this set of verses here is a little bit more subtle, but there's actually a focus shift that we have when we're following Jesus and when we're successful. When I Googled what it means to be successful, all the articles were written such that you're looking to your left and you're looking to your right. How am I doing versus this lane of runners, and how am I doing versus this lane of runners in my family? Am I stacking up correctly? Am I stacking up against my friends, my coworkers? Where am I at? Where's my business at? But these set of verses show us that where we actually need to be looking is up. And not just the cliche of like, well, God's up there, but there's an actual different set of standards that we as Christians follow for what success is. So everybody is here playing this game, and God wants us to be playing a game up here. Like, it's not even in the same arena, it's not even in the same ballpark. The mouths of the righteous utter wisdom, so we are to speak wisdom, and their tongues speak what is just. The law of their God is in their hearts, their feet do not slip. So we're focused up here, and we're not concerned with what's going on here, and the tendency would be, well, how do I know that I'm doing okay? Am I going to slip? Am I going to fall? Am I going in the right direction? And we're told, their feet do not slip. God is in their hearts. The wicked lie in wait for the righteous, intent on putting them to death. Everybody down here is competing against each other. They're looking to set, you guys have played Mario Kart, haven't you? They're looking to like shoot shells and like throw bananas and stuff, and like they're playing right here. And we're not playing that game. We will not slip. We will not go over the bananas. Their feet do not slip. Yet the wicked lie in wait. They're playing here. They're trying to climb to the top by making sure they cross the finish line first. But the Lord will not leave them in the power of the wicked or let them be condemned when they are brought to the trial. We have a tendency to want to play this game right here against all of the people who are around us, all the people who we see. Yet God calls us to have a focus shift, this stuff too, just in different ways. But I think the magnitude of it is big for parents. But it's kind of that concept of legacy. And so that's what verses 35 through 38 address. I have seen a wicked and ruthless man flourishing like a luxuriant native tree. But he soon passed away and was no more. Though I looked for him, he could not be found. Consider the blameless, observe the upright. A future awaits those who seek peace. But all sinners will be destroyed. There will be no future for the wicked. These verses address the concept of legacy. And I think at the end of the day, when we ask ourselves, were we successful, is did we do enough? Like coming to the end of our life or coming to the end of a career or a season of life, did I do enough? Did I pour enough into my kids? Did I do enough in my job or in my sport or in my school to get where I'm looking to go? Am I going to leave a legacy? And this is important because how the world would talk about us leaving a legacy is much different than how God talks about us leaving a legacy. The first part depicts the world, a wicked and ruthless man, somebody who's successful in the world, flourishing like a luxuriant native tree. As we look at them, we know these people, we see them. They must be successful. They have a lot of money. They're ahead of me in this race that we're playing down here. But he soon passed away and was no more. I looked for him, and he could not be found. So after a period of time, this person was no longer in existence, or this thought or this premise moving into the future was no longer there. Consider the blameless, what we're called to be. Observe the upright. A future awaits those who seek peace. So we're called to be blameless and seek peace. But all sinners will be destroyed. The ways of the world, the successes, how the rules that the game down here is played by will all be destroyed, and there will be no future for the wicked. All of us, whether you're parents or whether your kid's graduating, you've just graduated high school, or you're thinking about what am I going to do with my life and how are people going to be remembering me by leaving that legacy piece. This tells us how we need to do that. We need to consider the blameless. We need to be blameless before God. We need to seek peace. And we'll answer the question, did we do enough? Because the answer when we're playing this game up here and following God is yes. You have a future. You will leave a future for your kids. You will leave a future for those behind you, for those who look to you by your relationship with God. And were you blameless? Were you seeking peace? And were you investing in the relationship with Him? And that is what bears the fruit that lasts forever and ever, not the things that I found on Google. Not that those things don't help us understand better how this game is played down here, but those are the things that are not going to benefit your kids, and they're not going to benefit how you pass on to the next generation so that their kids' will understand what it means to be successful and live for God. So through all of this, being successful, God defines success differently than how the world defines success. And how do we remember that or think about that more frequently? And so there's a couple action steps, both of which are in the bulletin. And I want you guys to kind of look at those and do those this week. And not for me, not for anything that we have going on here at the Grove, but because I really believe that all of us in here in some way are looking to be successful. I would imagine that's why you woke up this morning, put on a shirt. You all have haircuts and you're all doing stuff. So I don't think any of us don't want to be successful. But I think if we get stuck playing this game down here, there's a lot of stress and anxiety and kind of spinning your wheels and frustration. And so I want you to kind of try these action steps this week so that you don't have to exist there anymore, and you can experience peace and fruitfulness and blessing beyond what you can imagine. And so the two things that I want you to practice this week or try, Megan and I have actually started, Megan's my wife, we've started because in the video, they were talking about envy and jealousy, and that is something that I actually have a problem with. Not from like mostly with myself, and anything that I do is not good enough. And not in like in a perfectionist way, but anything as I'm kind of going through the world, oh, that could be better, that could be better. I don't really stop and celebrate things. And so what I've started doing to get better at that and not live in that world is each day we'll text each other 3 things that we're grateful for. So I think I'm up to like 200 things now. But the point of being able to do that is to see if we're called to have that giving generosity, being a generous people that gives. It's hard to do that if you don't see that you actually have a ton of stuff and a ton of ways to do that. And so one of the things I'd like you guys to try is each day this week, write down 3 things. Just I do it at the beginning of my day, but I realize for some people in their daily routine at the end of the day or in the middle of the day might be better. But just start identifying in your life the things that you're grateful for and start seeing that you actually come from a place of wealth and that you have opportunities to have a giving posture and not have to worry about, do I have enough? And the second thing and these are backwards, that's the second thing in your bulletin, but I'm going to talk about this second. The first thing in your bulletin, I want you guys to pick one of these 4 promises and recite it each day this week. One of the things with this Psalm 37 is that, and actually it says Psalm 51 up there, so that's kind of funny. It's Psalm 37. The reason that this is here is because it was something that was recited truth to God. It's truth that He gives us that's recited back to Him, acknowledging honestly that we don't have the answers and that these are truths we want to see in our world or in our lives. And so this first action step, I want you guys to pick the truth that you see on there that most resonates with where you're at and where you're trying to be successful, and just recite that each day. And maybe memorize it, and maybe you do it longer than a week, but take one of these 4 things, or you could even do all of them, but just speak it back to God, even though He's spoken it to you and He's telling you, recite it back to Him, acknowledging honestly that this is what you want, almost as like a reminder to Him, hey, this is what you've promised me, like this is something that you are giving me and that I want. And through doing that, you'll kind of be able to identify better in your life how God is moving and how He has blessed you, and acknowledging those things out loud to Him help us grow in our relationship with Him and help us grow in our honesty with Him for the things that He wants for us that we're almost asking or demanding back of Him that He's already trying to give you. So I want to pray for you guys that way today. If you guys want to stand, we're actually going to continue to worship. We'll stand and pray together and then continue to worship. God, we thank You that You give us promises, and that You have promised us things, that You have a future for us, that You've postured us such that we don't have to play by the rules of society and the rules of Google and the rules that are ever changing here. And we ask that this morning, the people who are in anxiety, who are in constant wondering, constant comparison, constant concern about their future and about what success is in this world, we ask that they would encounter Your peace and they would encounter Your Spirit, God, who promises us things and who tells us, this is what I want for you, and who has a plan for us. And we ask that this morning we would be responsive to where you want us to move and where you want us to go. And we ask that as we continue to go through these sermons, God, that you would help us to become more honest with you and learn the skills in order to do that, what you call us to, an honest, open relationship, God, as you continue to move us closer and closer towards you, and as you position us in society such that others see what you're doing in our lives and desire that, so that their lives can encounter you as well. And to see, Jesus, you change lives, not only for us, but for them. And we pray these things, Jesus, in your name. Amen.
You are matchless in grace and mercy. There is nowhere we can hide from your love. You were steadfast, never failing. You were faithful. All creation is in awe of who you are. You're the healer of the sick and the broken. You are comfort for every heart that mourns. And our King and our Savior forever. And for eternity we will sing of all you've done. For eternity we will sing of all you've done. We sing, God with us, God for us. Nothing can come against, no one can stand between us. God with us, God for us. Nothing can come against, no one can stand between us. Your heart, it moves with compassion. There is life, there is healing in your love. You're the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. For eternity, we will sing of all you've done. We sing, God with us, God for us. Nothing can come against, no one can stand between us. God with us, God for us. come against. No one could stand between us. God with us, God for us. Nothing could come against. No one could stand between us.
Great are you, Lord. Great are you. Just sing that over a bit. Sing it over. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. We declare. Great are you, Lord. Greater than all in our lives, God. Greater than what we have. Great are you, Lord. Greater than what I own, God. Greater than my talent. Great are you, Lord. You are greater. Great are you, Lord. You give life. You are love. You bring light to the darkness. You give hope. You restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. You give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness. You give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord, and we all sing. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you,
So good news, we can keep the chairs set up. But before you guys go, I want to leave you with this. This is the last 2 verses of Psalm 37, and this is the Message version, so it's written a little bit easier to digest language-wise. The spacious, free life is from God. It's also protected and safe. God's strengthening, we're delivered from evil. When we run to him, he saves us. May you experience this freedom this week as you are successful and go out into your lives. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.